Right, welcome. Right, in this episode, I'm gonna reflect on the International Place Branding Association conference, my first academic conference where I presented something from my PhD, and then a paper, and then artwork. I was actually gonna record 3 podcasts before getting to the conference. The one for the doctoral meeting, one for the art gallery, and one for the paper that I've got submitted, but I didn't manage to record anything for the paper. For some reason I thought I've got that one sorted, plus Barcelona got to me. I was running around, exploring the city, did some great calisthenics, bumped into some design students in a cafe and lectured them about the PhD, which is very interesting because I realized I had never used my own instrument, let's call it that, the research instrument, the more detailed stuff, not the philosophy, not the methodology, but just like the types of data that I'm interested in collecting from others for the PhD. Had never used it to myself, and these students were running this workshop about learning from experience, and I don't know if that's so relevant to my topic of interest, which is how people choose where to live, but I do think it's kind of the only way you can learn about that is from experience. Helpfully, you can look at stats, crime rates when you choose where to live, but I don't think that overperforms if your aim is a better quality of life rather than something else, right? If you want a job, if your priority is something else, fine, but this is kind of where my head's at with the PhD aim. And it was interesting talking to them, showing them how my own trajectory of where I was kind of thrown into the world, where my first memories are from, then where I've still got friends, where I've still got family, then kind of where I've gone to university, and then getting a job, and then eventually, as I've matured, having more of a freedom to clarify what I want to get out of the whole process of choosing where to live. I basically got this structured into the same way I've been structuring it from the data that I've got from PhD for myself, and drawing it because they were asking everybody in the cafe to draw, and I presented it, and I'll be honest, it prepared me more than I could have, with all of the analysis that I've been doing of the data for others, because I fundamentally don't think I'm doing something that removes me as a subjective researcher away from my research. And it's something that's interesting that, as I was telling my godfather yesterday, because I'm back in Bulgaria, I was telling him about the advice he gave me as a kid, how helpful it's been on this journey, because he was always jokingly telling me as a kid that I need to become an idiot when I grow old, when I get older, because adults are idiots, because they don't say it as it is. They don't just discuss the world as they see it. And I need to learn how to be an idiot. And I signed the program book from the conference and gave it to him with a sign, thanks for giving me this. I still haven't learned how to be an idiot. So I still think it's okay to discuss the world as you see it. And this is a bit presumptuous to say. And at the conference, I had a few exchanges with a lot more senior researchers trying to defend this, because it sounds unscientific, but it's more of a position of the philosophy on, if I'm interested in subtle stuff like emotion, intuition, sense of belonging, place attachment, these can't be studied objectively with numbers. I mean, they can, but I don't think it's a better approach than the one that trusts people in what they say about their past, their memories, and their feelings, and takes them seriously. So it's not like I'm making it out and doing things without data. I've got data, but I'm also not removing myself and my own experience from the research. I don't think I'm kind of rediscovering any wheels there. something that's being defended by other humanistic researchers. And in the day job doing human-centered design, it does borrow from humanism, really. And the events, so going to the doctoral colloquium, the funny thing is I had misunderstood that I don't need to submit a PowerPoint ahead of time, with the organizers saying that I don't need a PowerPoint at all because we had only 4 PhD students presenting. I thought we were just going to do an informal thing where we share knowledge, where we're up to. So I ended up having to use the drawing I got from the session in the cafe with the design students. But how is it that being open to experience helped me so much in that presentation? It's surprising. And I know a lot of the stuff I say always border on woo-woo, but I don't think they are. I think it's just, I have this feeling it's not the same as when people talk about gut feelings and gut decisions, because that's different. The phenomenological approach of being pulled towards stuff, I do think there's something there, but I'm still just learning how to live this way. It seems to be paying off. It seems to be more fun as well, because doing that presentation on the spot, having to defend against people that know so much more than me, basically was trial by fire. And the feedback I got is amazing straight away. In the moment, it's like instant moments of seeing clearly where the idea doesn't exactly stack up, right? I'm talking about experience rather than more openly talking about love and place attachment. It's like masking it. But in the tourism literature, I got confronted, experiences get talked about like something that you experience, it's measured. So I need to be clear when I'm joining some discussions, to be clear on what language I use. Then also the clarification of definitions. So something that I think I do well in my written work, say these are the types of definitions for some phenomenon and why I'll pick one of them, but I didn't do this in the presentation very well. So being clear on what I mean by place attachment, and I'm following the lineage of people like Yifu Tuan, who talk about place attachment is this affection for place, with an expressed desire to stay there longer. So it combines a cognitive and a behavioral aspect. So, affective and cognitive and behavioral, right? All the 3. But then I have to limit the scope of the PhD, so I got this feedback again. Very helpful. What's possible to do within the PhD with the kind of data that I've got. So the behavioral aspect, while people would talk about it, and I have how long they stayed in a certain place as data, just adding that in for the sake of it, it actually doesn't bring in more knowledge. It's just bringing more data. So going narrower and deeper, as I've been told before, with this kind of research is the right thing. So I'll let go of the aspects that were behavioral, because I also saw another researcher already doing a great job in this. I think his name's Thomas Lecht, Stuttgart guy. He's pretty much on point with tracking quantitatively, kind of creating a model. He's done stats on how can you kind of look at the more behavior aspect. Obviously, he says he's doing the affective and the cognitive, but not as in depth. So his is more quantitative. But if I'm going to do something deep, qualitative, I'll focus on affect, and I'll stop calling it affect, because affect is a measurement concept from neuroscience. I'll be talking about feelings of belonging, love, place attachment. This is what I'm interested in, and this is what my passion is for. I do think we need to re-look at those concepts in the world that's changed quite a bit. It'll be interesting for others to be brave to look at emotion as something that we seem to think it's ephemeral and whatever, or it doesn't exist. And I think I'll look at intuition more specifically as part of that, and then distinguish emotions, feelings, moods. So having that, kind of literature that I've been reading from philosophy of emotions, bringing it in, seeing it with some of the data that I've got, I think that's going to be a coherent PhD, but I'll have to, not even have to, I'm enjoying this because I took the time before recording this to really take it on board, because it's easy to just get a bit started when you receive so much feedback. I think all of it made sense. It's just more senior people telling you don't waste your time. So I got some feedback. I'm trying to link the literature from geography that talks about locational choice, because choices are types of decisions, because I'm interested in how behavior economics deals with intuitions and emotions. And then I thought, well, okay, then what's the other literature that deals with these choices? And in geography, locational choice. But locational choice, the tradition of that is very positivistic. So as soon as I say these words, it means I'm trying to go down that way. I was trying to do this synthesis thing, which you learn it through your master's level and whatever, where you're just synthesizing two versions, try to go for the middle, but some of them are unsynthesizable, and I have learned that, like potions in chemistry, some of them, when you mix them, there's helpful compounds you create, some of them just explode. So I'm dropping that discussion as well. I'm going to highlight it in the literature review, that this is still the perspective of how a lot of companies, people might think is the, you should be calculating where you should locate, and that, this is kind of also used by people trying to attract, to present all of the data, we're going to do the market research for you to convince you should live here. I don't think this is my interest. So that was the doctoral meeting, and I presented without slides. Then the following day presented a paper. The paper is straight away, as soon as I presented about nudges and boosts and how they should be applied in trying to influence people's decisions. Apologies, not decisions. People's perceptions of places. I realized I was trying to use the wrong data for this kind of research, because it is a bit theoretical, because it is some of the beginning of application of behavioral economics into place branding, and I don't think I'm going to use the data that I've got from people choosing, but I've got data from people trying to attract, so I'm actually going to do this analysis for this paper. And then, but it's really weird that this became obvious to me only as I was presenting, and again it comes back to I seem to learn just by doing the stuff, and which is also why when I was a bit drunk on the train from Lyon to Barcelona, I signed up to a stand-up comedy course, because I think the skill of stand-up comedy allows you to more bravely bomb when you have bad jokes. It's the same with if you go through your ideas and expose them to the fire, you're going to progress more and more rather than thinking alone somewhere. So I'm definitely going to look for more conferences to go to as well. Definitely going to do the Royal Geographical Society, of which I'm a postgraduate member. I'll see what other conferences I can go to as well, just to share my ideas and progress that way. I've also got a writing retreat on the 7th of Jan, where I'll just go back to my literature and scrape out what I don't need. I've reviewed enough literature to then maybe present it there, but say this is in the region, what other people are looking at. But the PhD process focuses on this. And then in the art gallery, I don't know if this is getting a bit noisy because I'm running in the woods while I'm recording this. It's -5 in Bulgaria, so I need to keep warm. But I think it was really cool because I brought the digital statues, they are augmented reality statues that one can see in Bristol, where the Colston statue used to stand the slave owner, and that project, to discuss the interesting aspects of this project where, the artists didn't wait for the official authorities to decide what to do with the statue. They also didn't go for the whole debate of what statues are for, but just create something generated from the community. I think this is something that Applied Plays branding can learn from, because from this project I also got introduced to a lot of these artists who are trying to also set up a citywide business improvement district to be able to fund creative projects. Why is it that only anonymous people like Banksy can sell t-shirts to fund the release of the people that are trying to get for taking down a statue that people didn't want in their city? But then again, I presented this as art because it is art, because this is where it gets too subjective. This is where I'm like showing my bias entirely. I'm a foreigner of certain type. Of course I'm gonna have this perspective on places, but I also presented with the artwork the discussion around kind of the slogan of the thing is see what you want to see. And I also think that's dangerous, because that's extreme relativism, right? And places are fundamentally communal rather than individualistic. So let's be clear, I wasn't going around like this crazy extreme Marxist, entirely extreme lefty, saying how it should be. But I got the coolest feedback about that, because I just had a QR code for people to scan, and it was interesting that I got told by someone that they've never seen someone command so much attention with just a QR code. And I think it's because I spoke from the heart, and speaking from the heart is dangerous. It's because you're gonna slip, you're gonna show your bias, you're gonna show your subjectivity, but it's there anyway. Even if we try to hide it, it's there. So I'm trying to be an honest researcher rather than an objective one, right? And of course the problem with being honest is that the practice of honesty also doesn't guarantee that you're saying truthful things, because the truth, epistemological truth, does not require that you be honest. It's different things sometimes, I personally think it's conducive to a good life, though. It's definitely cognitively less burdensome to speak honestly, because lies require, to maintain the lie and to think it's somewhere in the background churning. So, I think I've gone on the wrong route, but anyway, I've got time. All right, let's see which way I'm going with this. Yeah, and a very fruitful conference. I think it's helped me direct myself forward, whatever that means, but speaking metaphorically. And yeah, this is it for now.